This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where, yes, business owners share their wisdom. It's short and to the point to respect people's time. And because we know transforming possibility happens really fast and it leads to lasting results. So enough of that. You know, you've listened, you've watched, you already know that. We have a special guest today, Marlene. In a few sentences, tell me who you are and what you do.
Oh, thank you for having me. My name is Marlene Chism. I'm an author working on my 5th book right now, From Conflict to Courage, How to Stop Avoiding and Start Leading. It should be out in May. I'm a consultant. I work with senior leaders that want to create drama-free cultures that drive growth and reduce costly mistakes. So that's what I do. And I also do speaking when things open back up. I hope to be speaking again.
Nice. Very clear and concise. After having interviewed hundreds of people, that is really clear. And so I celebrate you for that, Marlene. That really speaks to who you are and your accomplishments and some of the things, the notches that you can put in your accomplishment belt, if you will. That's great. 5 books. That's an amazing feat in and of itself.
Thank you very much. And I'm a LinkedIn learning instructor as well. And I've got 5 different programs on LinkedIn that I've recorded on difficult conversations and working with high conflict people. And I just got finished with one that's going to be about managing conflict and getting results in a hybrid workplace. So all those things I love to talk about.
Such important conversations. So I'm interested to dive into that here in just a moment or two. I'm really, and I mean that sincerely, because it's so needed in the workplace. But having these conversations on a regular basis with other entrepreneurs, with other business people, there's a lot of toxic places out there still, even still today. And having frameworks to be able to have those conversations is really important and needed. So thank you for what you do. We're going to dive here in just a minute. Question number 2, Marlene. What's the best thing about being in business?
For me, it's about personal growth. Being in business, I would say, is probably like being a parent. You have children and then they teach you who you are, and business teaches you who you are. So for me, it's really personal growth. It's meeting other people. It's expanding my comfort zone. I know that everybody says freedom, but we all want freedom, but a lot of times the freedom is mentally, you know what I'm saying? Because we really do have choice. We just don't often see them. So for me, it's really about the personal growth, the ability to stretch my comfort zone, to be uncomfortable, to learn more about myself, to get out of the mind drama that everybody has. So for me, it's been that platform.
Love that. I love that. And that it is a little different than what, I'm a pattern guy. So the pattern has been a lot of freedom. Yes. Or, doing what I want to do whenever I want to do it. Those are pretty common patterns, but I love that. So the personal growth and development.
I mean, I think we can be free anytime if we want to be, whether we hold a full-time job or whether we're working for ourselves. And I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs and business people that say, oh, it's the freedom. And then yet they're working 60, 80 hours. They're not spending time with family. They're complaining about their lack of growth. I don't think that's freedom. So I look at freedom in a different way. And I think we can be free really from any work position. And so freedom is a given if you want it. And so for me, it's about personal growth.
That is a great lesson in and of itself. That is a great lesson. Divert for just a quick second. That reminds me of the book Man's Search for Meaning, which dives into that very much. Yeah, Viktor Frankl. And so when you said that, it took me right to it. So thank you. That resonates with me very deeply, and I appreciate you sharing that. So please, if you're listening or watching, don't overlook what she just said. Freedom is actually, it comes from the inside, and we can all experience it at any time. Great leadership lesson, Marlene. I love it. This next question is one of my favorites. I love it. I imagine you're going to love it too, based on your experience. We hear from other business owners, they're getting so much business. Yes, even now, today, that sometimes the chaos that comes from so much business, it causes a little bit of overwhelm. Would you be willing to share your thoughts on that?
I would, and I love the question. again, that's a choice. We can decide not to take it. We don't have to be worshiping the almighty dollar every moment. I mean, right now I've got a mother that's in nursing care, and I'm looking at that as part of my job right now. Am I getting paid for it? I'm getting paid in personal growth. I'm getting paid in wisdom. I'm getting paid in looking at how the organization runs and the disconnect they have sometimes in the communications. So for me, I don't ever really want to complain about getting too much business and having chaos, because I'm in charge of me and I can say no to that business, or I can hire other people and leverage in that way. I've gotten a lot more business since COVID myself. Right now, I'm putting things, like I told you previously, on the back burner in a way, because this is my job right now. This is my focus. This is my alignment. It's a short period of time, and I trust that it's still going to be there for me.
So powerful. So powerful. That's really introspective. You know, as we're having this chat, I'm wondering, and you've said it, my paraphrase, you've said it, I think, twice now. I imagine you're comfortable in uncomfortable spaces. That's the sense that I'm getting. Are you comfortable?
I think I'm getting there. And here's something I think, that we never really know who we are until we're tested in that area. So I can judge anybody on anything, their mindset about money, their divorces, their marriages, their addictions. We can all judge other people, but the reality is I don't know myself outside of what I've experienced. So for me, you know, when COVID happened, I felt that I was more stable than most people, and it would be easy to kind of boast and say, oh, I've done all my inner work and I have faced the unknown. But the reality is I have faced the unknown, because I left a job of 21 years and started a new career. And that was my COVID time. Like, that was my time to be in fear. That was my time to face those things. And I did that. And so as a result, when this happened, I knew what that felt like. And I knew that we'll overcome it at some point. And also, my environment didn't change. I didn't have to work at home with 3 toddlers, and, you know, my spouse isn't working either, or we're hurting for money. Like, those things didn't happen for me. So, like, sometimes someone can look like they're great in the unknown, but their environment has stability. So I try to be humble about that, to say, I think I'm learning those lessons, and I think that I've faced the unknown. And I'm looking at my life situation right now as part of that journey. And I have faced the unknown. So I know that we're never going to have complete certainty, but we can have clarity. And so if we're clear about our values and clear about who we are, then that's the comfort that we get. So I appreciate the question. I don't know if I'm any better than most people, or if it's a combination of just life experience and environment.
I love it. I love your answer. Very intuitive, very, very insightful. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's shift to question number 4. What other successful business owners, like yourself, of course, should be on the Unlimited Wisdom podcast?
I love Martin Drake. I get his newsletter. He's a friend of mine. He's a consultant. He's in the UK. Very thoughtful, kind of low-key person. And another friend of mine, Gail Lance of Work Matters. And they both have books. And I think they would be, you know, very more introspective kind of people for you. And I think you'd enjoy it.
Love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you for highlighting them as well, and what they do. It's great. Great stuff. Let's get some wisdom. What do you think? I bet you have some wisdom to share, Marlene.
I hope so.
I know you do. And we've had a brief conversation already, and I already know that you have tons of wisdom. What piece of wisdom would you share with other business owners?
In all drama, there's always a lack of clarity. That's one piece I would share. And I would say that in all conflict, that you cannot have conflict unless there's inner conflict first. So those 2 pieces I live by, that conflict cannot survive unless I have inner conflict. And when I resolve the inner conflict, I can manage the outer conflict. And I also know that, you know, leadership clarity is something I teach a lot on and do. And I first started with the concept of clarity, but I define leadership clarity as the ability to identify and articulate the situation, the outcome, and the obstacles. If you can't do those 3 things, you will throw solutions at the wrong problem. And I'm sure you, like me, since you're a consultant, you probably get this all the time, where someone calls and they've already got the solution and they want to plug you into their solution. We're going to start an initiative on engagement. We want a workshop on stop workplace drama. We need a presentation because people aren't getting along. And in my mind, that's a checklist. And I always say, get a clown and a pizza and it'll serve you better, because the truth truth is you haven't identified your situation or your outcome. You've identified the how to, you're stuck on the rock called how, and you think I'm the one that's going to fix things. And generally, if it's discretionary money that you have, that's not going to do it if it's a big problem. And it means that you don't want to look at the truth and the outcome that you want.
So powerful. And I mean, that just rolled right off of your tongue, but my mind is going a million miles a minute right now. So what I heard in what you said is that a lot of, and I do know this to be, you're right, I do know this to be true. What I heard, of course, I'm paraphrasing to highlight what you're saying here. What I heard is that people often come with symptoms, not the root cause, or not the root issue, right? And that's how I'm paraphrasing what you say. Did I capture that correctly?
Sort of. I think it's this, like we don't ever, like a dentist doesn't advertise and say, I've got this brand new drill and I'm the only one that has it. They say, we give you, a beautiful smile. It might be through veneers. It might be through false teeth. It might be through, you know what I'm saying? It might be a lot of ways to get there. It might just be whitening. It might be Invisalign, but we don't go to the dentist and say, I want to use this new drill because I already have the solution and I'm going to tell you what to do to me. We go and seek their expertise and hear what is going to be required, what we're going to have to pay, what the value is to us. And then they give us a recommendation based on the money that we have, what we're willing to do time-wise, what results we want, and whether or not that's really going to give us what we think we want. So I wish people would approach consultants like that too, instead of having their secretary give a call to find out what your price is for a workshop, because they've already determined that's going to fix a $500,000 problem. And so that's what I've kind of quit working like that. I will do development because I love it. And I'm a natural developer. If we're clear that that's what we're doing, right? You have so much budget, you want to develop, you do it every year. I'm glad to do it. But don't tell me there's a big problem and you've got the solution, because that's not the right alignment.
I love this conversation. I do. I love this. This is great. And I hope when you're listening and you're watching, this is resonating with you in a way where this synthesizes with you. It's not about the drill. It's not about the drill bit. It's not about the shelf on the wall or the screws that go into the shelf. It's about why are you hanging that shelf to put a knickknack on there? But you're not putting
books.
That's right. But why do you want to do that?
Stack of books. There's lots of ways to get rid of the books. You can burn them, you can sell them, you can pack them away, or you can build a shelf, but we don't yet know why you want it, So until you know the what and the why. And so I always usually work from what, then then like the situation, like the outcome in this situation, you work from those 2 points, you now have that dynamic tension, and there's many ways to get there. So it's like you can have a raft, you can have a boat, one oar, no map, you can have a yacht, you can have a tugboat, you can get there lots of ways. But then you start looking at resources and willingness and all these other things. And at least it gives you direction, because to start throwing money at something without really knowing what you want or why you want it, it's just going to be frustrating. And they're going to criticize the consultant or the trainer. But the reality is it's a lack of leadership clarity.
I love this conversation. So powerful, Marlene. So this is a great conversation. How would you prefer someone approach you as a consultant?
I would prefer that we just have an exploration call. Like I always look at it this way: fit before fee. Yes, I have development and I have fees for like a 2-hour webinar or a half day or on. I have that, of course, because I started out as a speaker and trainer, and I still love to do it. And it can be a foot in the door for other things. But if there's just exploration and there's not desperation, I really enjoy that. Even if it's on the concept of, we just think we're going to do a full day retreat. We've got these executives and we're looking for, like I just had a great conversation with an executive that said, we're looking for a speaker on retention, how to retain. And I said, well, that's not my expertise. Let me share with you what my expertise is. Let's have a conversation and let's see if anything resonates and bubbles up. And so as I did, he goes, my God, that sounds 100% like retention. I said, yes. And I could plug that in and pretend I'll do that, but I'm really going to guide you with my stuff. But I want you to hear my wisdom and my knowledge. And then let's plug that in, because if I'm a fit for you now, fine. If I'm not, I will be, because we had resonance. So I don't worry about getting the gig or getting paid or trying to convince someone. I used to, and I've been there when I was younger. But now I look for the enjoyment and the personal growth of the conversation. And when the time is right, I am there and we have a relationship. That's how I look at it.
I love what you're delivering right now, Marlene, for so many different reasons. I can see the wisdom that you're actually delivering, and I really want to highlight and showcase that, because there's so much on the internet today, right? In the world that we live in the globalization world that we live in, there's so much talk about, these things that people sling, and I'm going to go as far as say like parrot. A lot of people parrot these things, right? And they're like, meet you where you are, but then they don't have the frameworks like you're explaining right now to be able to sift through that and truly meet people where they are. And that comes through an exploration call. It comes through resonance and fit exactly what you said. Do I resonate with you? Do we have a fit? Do I have a service that you're actually looking for, not something you think you're looking for? I'll pause.
Or have I changed your mind because of things I've said, and now you realize it's not really about this, it's about that. Instead of me telling them that, which I used to do, very straightforward, it seemed aggressive. I didn't mean to do that. It's just like, I want to cut at the chase. But what I realize is there's value in the processing, and it's okay that people think what they think. It's okay that they think a workshop will fix it. It's okay that they think they need a new engagement officer, diversity officer, whatever they think they need. They may or may not need that. That's getting stuck on the rock called how. When we talk about the problems, like for example, with this executive, well, we are really struggling with accountability because they think accountability is like a mean thing. And I said, that's because of the way they're defining it. And so I said, I define accountability as measurement. It's the numbers. It takes a witness. It's not just tools of accountability. There's actually a witness saying, yes, you did, or no, you didn't. And it's about measurement. It's of the brain. Responsibility is of the heart, and it's about owning it, wanting it. And I said, when you have both of them working together, you've got people owning their job, loving their job, and you've got the measurement of the supervisor or the manager or the leader saying you either did do it or you didn't do it. And it's not to get you in trouble. It's to see if our measurements really are working, or are we out of alignment on what we're expecting, or do you need support? And once you look at it from that perspective, accountability is helping, it's coaching, it's figuring out why something's not working. And so when you define something in a certain way as that's punishment, or I'm going to hold you accountable, what you're talking there is blame, not accountability. And so there's a difference. And once you make those distinctions, it changes the way you lead. So that was just an example of a conversation. They think they need this program or this workshop. What they need is a shift in how they see it. Right?
Powerful. I love what you're saying. You want to make me jump out of my chair and just with joy. I love this. I love what you're delivering. I love what you're sharing. And I know you and I could talk about this for hours upon hours upon hours, but you have other responsibilities, which you've shared. And this leaves some interest and curiosity to go and grab your book, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. Books, not just book, but books. So I love this. So let's hang there for a minute. Let's shift gears. I imagine you and I could talk business, like I said, for hours and hours and hours, and we'd have so many fun stories and people would love it. But I'm curious, Marlene, what's the most fun? What do you got going on? What's the most fun vacation you've had? Or you have some exciting things on the horizon, don't you?
Well, I do. And like I told you before, I don't think I've had my most exciting vacation yet. I've put a lot of effort into my business, and I've loved every moment of it. I have loved every moment. And I tell people this, I've traveled a lot over the US and Canada, but for me, I can enjoy a really small town and just the town square and dinner with local people. And like, I can just enjoy it so much. So I think the enjoyment comes from your inner being. So I do want to do some more exotic things. In fact, I've considered going to Argentina to compete in dance. I've never competed before, but I've loved dance for a very long time, been taking lessons. I love Lindy Hop. I love hip hop. I love cha-cha salsa. So I like a lot of kinds of dances. So that is on my perhaps list this year. Let's see how COVID goes and all that. But I haven't had my most, what you would call exciting, that would impress other people kind of vacation. But I can honestly have a wonderful time in a small town with the local people. It doesn't matter. I can be at a black tie event. I can be with, a hoedown. It doesn't matter to me. I enjoy wherever I am. That's my philosophy.
I love it. I love that you shared that. Thank you so much. I mean, Argentina sounds amazing, but yeah, what really stands out to me is that throughout the podcast, you have had a very strong theme. that happiness and joy and freedom comes from within, whether it comes from like vacations or whether it's work, whether it's personal development. And so I can tell you walk the talk. And I love
Well,
that.
I took a course in narrative coaching, which was really wonderful. I've always been interested in psychology and in the stories we tell and in changing my own identity, my own story. And something that has really stuck with me, and I practice it, I play with it, I share it with other people. And the saying is, our stories are the source of our suffering. And so what that means is our narrative, what we say about ourselves, what we say about our life experience is the source of our suffering. And if that's the source of our suffering, this is my addition, it can be the source of our salvation too. Because if that's the source of my suffering, of me talking about how I haven't had my best vacation, I can suffer with that, or I can say that's on the horizon and I enjoy everywhere I go. And it's always a fun vacation. I can have fun anywhere. I don't have to impress other people with where I go. I can also say with a mother that's in a nursing home, I can say, well, that's an obstacle to my growth. I can't take business. Or I can say, this is my job right now. And I choose it and I'm empowered and I am free because it's choice. So our stories are the source of our suffering, but they can be the source of our salvation too.
I love that. So powerful. Everything you said has been really deep and powerful and introspective and insightful. I love it. And if that is not an entrepreneur, I don't know what is. Taking a challenge and flipping it on its head and turning it into an opportunity. So I love this conversation. Marlene, before I ask you for, where people can reach out to you, you have a number of initiatives going on right now. I know you just came out with a book, right? So can you just speak into, you've been so insightful, just speak into what you're working on right now, what you're focused on and what you're looking to achieve.
Okay, my book is coming out. It'll be May 3rd, so I don't know when this podcast will be, but that's when it's being launched, and it's my 5th book, and it's called From Conflict to Courage: How to Stop Avoiding and Start Leading. Has a lot of good stuff, the deep stuff that you like. It's got some things on emotional integrity, leadership identity, something I call conflict capacity, increasing your conflict capacity, behaviors that leaders have that are dysfunctional and why they are about mismanagement. So there's a lot that's really kind of psychological and personal growth in that as well. I'm really excited about it. It's one of my best pieces of work. Have a piece coming out on LinkedIn, on the LinkedIn learning platform that's about hybrid work. I think I mentioned it earlier, and it's got some conflict subjects in that as well. So those things are all kind of coming at the same time. And so it's going to be a time of, kind of a deep breath of relaxation once everything's kind of hit. But that's what's going on for me right now.
Thank you so much for sharing. Well, I'm in. So I'm all in on the book, definitely, for sure. And I encourage anybody watching and listening, there'll be a link down below. I don't want to should you, but you ought to be in too. So that's great. Marlene, thank you so much. I know that you have a busy schedule. You chose to take a chunk out of your day to be here to serve people. And I really appreciate that. I celebrate you for that. So kudos. What's the website, or I'm sorry, I think I spoke over.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me. Just wanted to get that in.
Thank you. What's the website or social media, or when somebody watches this or listens to it and say, I have to reach out to her, what's the best way for them to do that?
I would love it. You can follow me on LinkedIn. It's Marlene Chism. If you follow, and I'll connect with you if you say you met me here, but if you follow, you'll get updates from my free lives that I do. And so it's just my name, Marlene Chism. It's either Marlene Chism or Marlene Chism Consulting almost everywhere on all social media. So my website is marlenechism.com, and that's MarleneChism.com.
That is a seasoned entrepreneur. Everything's aligned. I love it.
Well, it took me a year to make that happen. Believe me, I am the serial entrepreneur. I've had stop workplace drama, attitude builders. I've been like everybody else, all the ideas and then loose ends. So I spent the last year aligning everything, and it took an army. So it's all good.
I love it. Congratulations. Such great accomplishments. Marlene, thank you so much. This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast. We're business owners. This is fun. Making 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Look, we hear a lot about that on the internet today. And yes, it's about the money, but it's more about them sharing their wisdom globally to create impact. And I'll leave you with this. There's unity in community. Thanks for joining us.